Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to yet again another video, and today we continue on the 2022-2023 season previews with the Los Angeles Kings today. A team that is on the rise, but not. It really depends on how you look at this team. There are a couple of young guys who really haven't really panned out the way that we think they were going to, and there's some players who are just getting started, and we have some big players added to this lineup. It's looking mad interesting for the Kings, but first off, we got to take a look at last season. They went 44, 27, and 11 for 99 points. They scored 239 goals and only let in 236. The leading goal scorer was Anze Kopitar with 19 goals, 48 assists for 67 points. And then their goalie was also Jonathan Quick with 23, 13, and 9, and a 2.59 goals against average. Obviously, that division was weak. And people were looking at, well, maybe the Kings can make it. Maybe they can finish in a decent spot. And they finished top 3 in that division, which was pretty impressive. So obviously there, the Kings did take a big step. And some people, including myself, were kind of lenient on whether the Kings made the playoffs. Now, my final decision was actually yes. So there you go. I actually got it right for once. But it really... In all honesty, they kind of only made it because of how weak that division is. But that definitely will change. And so did the Kings. They made a number of departures this offseason, including Dustin Brown to retirement, Andreas Athanasiou, Troy Stecher, Austin Strand, Christian Wolanin, and Olli Mata. So they did lose a good amount of players, definitely from their core roster, but no really big players besides, I would say, Andreas Athanasiou. He's probably the only big-name player I see there. Maybe Dustin Brown as well. Those two guys are probably the two biggest names. But, in contrast, their acquisition list is pretty short, but it does have some interesting player on it. It's only Kevin Fiala. The only notable one is actually Kevin Fiala added to that right wing side. Very solid top 6 forward, acquired from the Minnesota Wild. We'll see how he does with the Los Angeles Kings. I really like that move. They didn't give up all too much. They gave up Brock Faber and a first-round pick, which when you look at it, really wasn't all too much for a really solid player in Kevin Fiala. And he's locked up for the next 7 years in LA, so we'll see how he does. Overall, though, not a horrible offseason. It definitely could have been better. I think anyone will agree with that. Really, more or less, they made a lot of re-signings. They signed guys like Lemieux, a couple other guys in that roster. So obviously there, they really spent their time making some re-signs to their depth. And I think this team still kind of is relying on some of that, they're still relying on some of that younger players to start building their way up and start becoming a pretty solid team. So I think this year could be the year where we see all those young guys take a big step. Definitely a possibility, but as of right now, we don't really know. Anyways, looking at the projected lineup now, you have Adrian Kempe, Anze Kopitar, Kevin Fiala, Trevor Moore, Philip Danault, and Victor Arvidsson all on your top 6. Pretty solid top 6. Definitely very solid. A lot of power in that top 6. Kempe, Kopitar, Fiala, that dynamic first line. You got Arvidsson down below. You got Philip Danault, who was very good for the Kings this year. And then Trevor Moore, who actually looked really interesting and a really underrated player for Los Angeles. Should get some top 6 minutes, although Iafallo may challenge him. Anyways, on the bottom 6 here, you have Alex Iafallo, Quinton Byfield, and Arthur Kaliev. Then you have Grundstrom, Lizotte, and Lemieux. And for some extra guys, you have Velarde. I know he's probably going to play up, but I mean, I just have it listed as the depth chart is on the Hockey News. Turcotte and Caperi. Yeah, Rasmus Caperi. So, pretty solid forward core. It's definitely young. There's a lot of younger players on this core. There's some experienced guys, like obviously Kopitar is really experienced. He's been the captain for God knows how long. And he has played very well. So obviously there, definitely expect Kopitar to have another really good season as his career heading towards the end, but one of the best players in Kings history, maybe one of the best in the NHL, for being honest. Very underrated forward at this point. But yeah, I like that forward core. I like this forward core. If all those young guys pan out, this could be a dangerous team. Absolutely. You look at their defense. Their defense is full of a lot of no-name, underrated players. And I'm not dissing any of the guys on this blue line. They have some recognition, but they are really, to the casual fan, they are really just no-name players, honestly. You have Drew Doughty and Mikey Anderson on that first pairing. Then you have Sean Walker and Alex Edler. Then you have Jordan Spence and Tobias Bjornfoot. And then you also have Sean Dursey and Jacob Maverier. So you obviously have some underrated forwards on that, or forwards, defensemen, yeah, forwards playing defense. You ever see that? Sometimes on that defensive core. So obviously they're Doughty. He's got that contract. He's been solid though. I think he's been better than people may make him out to be. Obviously there, Walker and Anderson have been solid. Edler, aging defender, but he's still a pretty solid player. Jordan Spence, a younger player from I forget where is he from? Australia? He's from somewhere. He's like the first Australian-born player. I could be wrong. Could be a different country, but I think it's Australian-born player to play in the NHL, and he's actually playing pretty good. He did show some signs of positivity, and I don't think he plays third pairing off the bat. Maybe he even gets top 4 minutes, but I think he is definitely a very solid up-and-coming defender. And then obviously you guys like Bjornfoot, Dursey. You got some solid players in depth for that defense. We'll see how they do. Mostly pretty young, though. And then for your goaltending tandem, you have Cal Peterson and Jonathan Quick, and then you have Matt Velada as your third-string goaltender. So, obviously there, Peterson, and we'll get into this in a second here, but Peterson hasn't really panned out to the potential that everyone thought he was going to, and I am going to openly admit that as a Peterson fan. And Jonathan Quick, I think, did play really well. Obviously, there's been rumors of him being traded, but I think he's a very solid goaltender, and I think he probably stays with LA for the rest of his career. I mean, he's earned it. Anyways, but overall, I like this team. Overall, I like that forward core, I like that defense, and I like that goaltending. It's another one of those rosters where I really don't have a problem with anything. I mean, I think this team, it's kind of wide open what happens with this team, in all honesty, because you have a lot of players on that forward core and that defense who are young. And you could either see them improve drastically or they could go downhill. So one of the two things is going to happen, but nonetheless, I think it's really positive for the Kings right now. Look at some of your biggest questions for Los Angeles. Will this team take the big step? And meaning, will the young guys take the big steps like Turcotte, Byfield, Velarde, Kupari, or Rasmus Kupari? I can't even say it. Kaliev, Walker, Anderson. There's some young guys on this team, and Peterson's another, but we'll get into him in a second. Obviously, there are some young guys on this core, so definitely it really is up to them to take a big step. Some of them haven't panned out the way we thought they were going to so far in their careers. I definitely think that will change, though. I think this team has a very young and very good future, and I think that definitely they should take the next big step this coming season. The other question is, how will that goalie tandem do? Because that goalie tandem has not been what we thought it was going to be. We thought Cal Peterson was going to be a really solid starter goaltender. He hasn't shown that yet. And then again, I mean, goalies do take time to develop, and Peterson, I think, has gone through some injuries. But obviously there, you do got to factor that in. Well, maybe we'll see how he does this season. Anyways, moving on to your point-o-meter for each team. You have Anze Kopitar leading the way with 66. Then you have Kevin Fiala in second, with 63. Then you have Victor Arvidsson in third with 58. You have Philip Denault in fourth with 55. And then you have Trevor Moore, fifth in scoring with 53. Really impressed with how high they're rating Trevor Moore, but he is an underrated player for that team. Yeah, voice crack. Anyways, moving on to your sleeper or your bust is actually Arthur Kaliev. So poor efficiency and luck. So Arthur Kaliev scored 14 goals on 194 shots, but he fills a dire need on a team of lacking goal scorers. He's already a fixture on the power play, and his overall production will increase with more even strength time. Definitely think that's going to happen. I think Kaliev definitely takes a big step up. He's one of those players that I think does do well this coming season for the Los Angeles Kings. So now the question is, well, do they make the playoffs? And honestly, in 2021, I said no, and I was right. In 2022, I said yes, so I'm 2 for 2 right now. But in 2023, I'm also going to say yes. I think this team has the pieces, and even if their young guys don't play as well as you think, I still think they're a good enough team where they make the playoffs, holding out with that top six. The goaltending will keep its end, and I think they'll be solid all the way till the end and likely make the playoffs, but who knows what happens. But anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you all very much for watching. For all your supporters, Lee, I really do appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe down below if you are new. Anyways, thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Adios.